Quotes, concepts, and sayings. Who doesn't like good old quotes for some inspiration and motivation? So in today's podcast episode on the Dynamic Lifestyle Podcast, Chris and I did something really fun and unique. We took 10 different powerful quotes from some amazing people and different expertises, and we sat there and we broke down these quotes, these concepts, and these sayings, and we literally gave you guys our take on what the actual quote and saying meant, how we apply that to our life, and a practical application that you can take going forward using these different quotes, concepts, and sayings. So make sure you guys listen to the full episode on this. All right, guys, welcome back to another episode on the Dynamic Lifestyle Podcast. So this is a solo round, and I got Chris right next to me, and this is going to be a really, really interesting one, might you say?
Yeah, I've been plotting and scheming this one for the past week.
Yeah, and I know for some of the listeners, they're not going to be, watching the video part of this, but just to fill you guys in, we have a hat right here. It looks like
a hat.
It almost looks like a sombrero. Yeah, and it has like 10 different papers that are cut up, so it looks like a big raffle's going on.
Yeah.
So Chris was being very clever and sneaky last night. I heard him cutting up paper. And this is kind of what you have up your sleeve, don't you?
Yeah.
So before we get into that, I want you to explain what's going on and why you chose to go this route with this. But we're in episode 151.
It's crazy, right?
151 episodes, guys. And for all the active listeners out there to the Dynamic Lifestyle Podcast, I just want to express my gratitude. Say thank you so much. I know there's so many podcasts out there, and it can be overwhelming. So. For you guys to tune into our podcast and listen to us, it just means a lot. It really does.
No, I echo everything Eric said, and it's just been an awesome ride. First starting off on Skype and Zoom, and now doing all of them here in person in LA.
Yeah.
It's just been really cool to see the progression, and they're going to only get better going forward. And I'm proud of you too, man.
Thank
for
you.
sticking
Appreciate
with this,
that.
because it's not easy having a podcast,
No.
and there's so much noise out there, and it's one of those things where you can get very discouraged quick if you're not getting downloads or people are listening to you right away. And so you got to have thick skin and just kind of like plow through and be consistent, show the value that you have. So yeah, I'm proud of you. And then again, thanks so much for all the listeners on this support. Truly, truly appreciate it.
Likewise, right back to you. So guys, hear that? Chris is giving me some love on the podcast. That's a huge win. So other than that, we're heading over to Northern California in a couple of days to go see family. So when this podcast is released, we will be over there in Northern California, back home with some good old mom's cooking, go see friends, and just wind down. It's been a hell of a first quarter, a great first quarter, no complaints, but it's just the time is going so fast to where I sometimes feel like I can't even breathe.
Yeah.
Out here in LA, and just the small things in life, like my family, my friends. That kind of just like slips by, and I told myself this year I was going to be more intentional about that. So I'm glad that we're going over there to visit for like 10 days and just really spending quality time.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait to get out of LA just for 10 days and get over there and just kind of scale it down like 50%. I wish I can be like, hey, I'm going to take the entire week off, but it's just not going to be possible. If I can scale it down 50%, recharge my batteries, come back in, for Q2 with a better frame of mind and a game plan. That's all I can do. That's all we can really do.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah. All right. So let me tell you about what we have going on in this episode.
Yeah. What do you have up your sleeve on this one?
Yeah. So I think the title that I named this, if I remember correctly, was "How to Create True Impact and Influence and Not Be Idolized." Right, so let me give you guys a little bit of context on this first before I get into the rules and all the fun. So I think a lot of things that I've seen this past decade, especially with social media getting bigger and bigger, is just too many people idolize people. And when you idolize somebody, you put them on a pedestal. And it's never good to put anybody on a pedestal, whether that's your family, your friends, a mentor, a coach, whatever it is. Right? Because
why do you think that, though? Why do you think people idolize so many people, and why do you think that's going on?
Well, I think that they, number one, just get kind of lost in the fantasy of, so there's two sides of the coin always, right? And they always only see one side of the coin when they put somebody on a pedestal or idolize them. So I like using an example of an athlete. So they only see the fame, the money, the raving fans, everything that they're doing on social media, right? The fancy cars or whatever that they post on Instagram and all that. That's one side of the coin. They never see the other side of the coin on what's truly going on in their minds, their mental health,
their
spiritual health, their family, their friends, their circle, all those type of things. And I don't think enough athletes, express that other side of the coin. I think it's getting a little bit better now because there's social media and stuff like that, but in the past there really wasn't. So for example, I remember Dad took us to, remember the San Jose Clash soccer games?
Yeah.
This was like back in '96 when the MLS just started and they were called the Clash, so they're the San Jose Earthquakes now. But, we used to like going to those games. We used to like going to Warrior games, and I think that I idolized a lot of these players, right? And I didn't know any better at the time. Dad didn't know any better, right? He was just trying to take us there to have a good time and show his sons a good time and bond with us. But I think a lot of people just idolize too many people these days, whether they're on social media, whether they're like a coach, an influencer,
movie star, singers,
YouTube star, whatever it is, right? They idolize them too much, put them on a pedestal. So I really want to kind of center this whole entire episode around that, how to create massive influence and true impact and not sit there and idolize people. Because I remember Philip McCurden said, how do you get people to love you and not idolize you, right? All the fans and all like the basketball players and the football players, the athletes, all that stuff, when they're idolized, people don't truly love them. It's just they're idolizing because they're put on a pedestal. So for me, it's like I want to be loved because I want to be known as my impact, my influence that I make, changing people's lives and stuff like that. So that's what I want to center this around. And I got a crazy little idea with it, with the sombrero. And we're going to sit there and put 10 different pretty much quotes, sayings, and concepts from people that we don't idolize, but we just look up to. They've had an impact in our life, even though some of them we've met, they're mentors, coaches, some we got on the podcast, some we've never met. Maybe watched a video, an interview, read their books, whatever it is. But, we had our virtual assistant pretty much go through a document of like 100 different types of like quotes, sayings, and concepts that we have from like all the books we read and stuff like that, and told her to just pick 10 randomly, just randomly. And so she sent that back to us, and then I actually wrote them out, with a ballpoint pen, cut them up into 10 different pieces, folded them up, and put them in the sombrero right here. So what the rules are with this is we don't know like what any of these sayings are, which is crazy, right? It's cool. So
it's funny because you told me I was trying to cheat and I was trying to look at them earlier, and Chris was like, "Come on, don't look at them." This and that, and I was like, all right. He's being really serious about his rules, and this is his podcast episode. He's the one that set this all up, so I got to respect that. So
and this is a huge experiment, right? It's a huge experiment, which I like because we do the interviews, we do the solo rounds, which are cool. We get great feedback, but I want to just go outside of the box with this and just try something new. So guys, please, I ask you. Whether we post it on Instagram or whatever, just comment that you liked it, you didn't like it, send us an email, screenshot it, share it on stories. We want to hear your feedback because if this goes well, I want to do a round 2 of this later on.
Yeah, you could even leave a rating or review, say it sucked.
Yeah,
I won't get mad.
It's all my fault. So what we're going to do is we're going to Rochambeau. Whoever wins is going to be the first person that's going to sit there and talk about the paper that they open. So I'm going to pick the paper for you, and I'm going to read it out to you. But I have to read it out to you kind of in a context and of a way that I want you to answer it, right? I can't just read it to you and just be like, okay, well, all right, now just say something about it or elaborate. That's just too boring and dull. So I have to open it up, read it to you, and kind of like give some context of how I want you to answer it. Then you're going to answer it based off of your life experience and everything that you know up until this point, okay? That's the first part. And then the second part is you're going to give the listeners a practical application based off of that answer and this paper. And then I'm going to chime in if I want to, and then we're going to just keep going back and forth until we finish up these 10 things.
Did you guys hear that?
Kind of weird, huh?
Wow. Put me on the spot on that one. I just felt a little thing of sweat drip down.
Yeah, I know.
No, I mean, I think it's cool. I'm excited for it. So for example, when I pick something out of the hat, I can't just read that to you. I have to think of a way to frame that quote or that statement in some sort of a sentence.
I think so, or ask me in an intentional way, because it's just too easy just to read it, like, what's your thoughts?
Okay, so I'll try to do that, but if I can't think of like a sentence, a way to put it, then I'm just going to ask you what your thoughts are, and if there's any practicality or life lesson that you could share with the listeners on that. Fair enough?
This is all a big experiment.
Okay.
And we'll learn from this as we go.
Cool.
So
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right. So
you said Rochambeau, rock, paper, scissors?
Yeah. All right, ready? Rochambeau. Oh, so you did paper, I did scissors. Scissors cuts through the paper.
Damn it.
So here we go. So if you guys hear this noise, that means we're shuffling up the papers in the sombrero. Might be a little noisy when you open up the papers. All right.
What do we got? What do we got?
The very first one is, distractions are the biggest cause of not getting things done. So distractions are the biggest cause of not getting things done. And Mike Zeller said that. So, do you agree with distractions being the biggest cause of people not moving the needle forward, whether it's in their business, their health, their fitness, relationships, career, adventure?
Absolutely. I think that distractions are huge right now in this day and age, just because there's so much going on, right? There's so many outlets for social media. There's so much noise, external wisdom, whatever you want to call it, that's just being thrown at us left and right, to where it's like it's hard for us to consume all this information overload, right? And everybody wants to sit there and stand out, to where it's like it's hard for us to put our attention to one thing and really stay focused on that, right? So what I really want to talk about is focus. Because if you are, if you do have a business, if you are an entrepreneur, you have to be focused. If you don't have that level of focus, which I think is a skill, I think focus is a skill set. And
Absolutely.
If you don't have that level of focus right now to get stuff done and move the needle forwards little by little in your business, then you're never going to go anywhere. It's never going to be profitable. Your confidence is going to go down. And at some point, you're going to give up. You're going to chase another shiny object. You're going to start comparing yourself to other people, and you're just going to be so overwhelmed to where it's going to cause paralysis by overanalysis, because it's too much information overload. So you might be thinking, well, it's hard for me to focus because there's so much going on, and for me today too, it is hard to focus. But I've built up that skill set to really be diligent, to know how to prioritize my time, to turn my phone off, to turn my notifications off, to where I can focus on a certain task and get shit done. But it didn't happen overnight. That's the thing. It took a long time to do that. And I remember I used to bash myself, shame myself when I couldn't get, focused and get stuff done. So you might be in that position right now if you're, one of the listeners, and you might not be able, you might be lacking that skill of focus, but it's okay. Don't sit there and discredit yourself and say that I can never build that skill set up, because you can. It just takes time, right? And you have to make that a priority. But absolutely, man, I think that distractions nowadays are just they're one of the biggest things that inhibit people from growing.
Agreed.
Just in all aspects of life.
Yeah.
Because when you can't focus and you're distracted, it's like you cannot make progress. You can't make progress. And to me, if you're not making progress, whether that's in business, as a human being, as a significant other, a brother, son, then you're not maximizing your true potential as a human and, your God-given talents. You're not. So you have to get a hold on all the distractions in your life.
Okay, man. All right. So coming out of the gates with some fire. So you know what I'm going to ask you? How do people?
Okay. How do we put this into practice? Okay. So no, that's a good one. So I'm going to give you guys two sets of acronyms here. So I got these ones from John Asseroff. So I want to give credit where credit's due. So the first one is AIA, right? So the A stands for awareness. Mm-hmm. The I stands for intentions. And the other A stands for actions, right? So every single day, if you have that written somewhere, AIA, to program your subconscious, to know that you're self-aware of your situation, what your weaknesses are, what your strengths are, that's going to be a huge advantage for you to play offense every day and stay focused. If you set those intentions, be intentional about your actions every day, then you're going to be able to move the needle forward. And again, the A, action, right? That's ultimately what it comes down to, because we can have all this information, we can have it in our head, but if we don't actually physically take action and want to get better on that, we're never going to get better. So AIA, awareness, intentions, actions, I think that's a great one. And then the last one is STT, so strategies, tactics, and timelines, right? So try to figure out some strategies around what you're trying to do. Try to put some tactics together, and then most importantly, have some timelines that you want to get these things done. So to me, that will increase your level of focus and really minimize all the distractions around you.
Okay, that's solid. The only thing I would add to this is just in the practical applications, definitely turn off all notifications.
Yeah.
And try to go on airplane mode and just block out chunks of like 20 to like 60-minute blocks. You know, 3, 4, or 5 throughout the day, and go on airplane mode and turn all notifications off. That's all I'm adding to it.
That's a great one.
Hey,
all
good.
Right.
All right.
Moving on to the next one. So I'm drawing out a paper out of a hat.
That one looks big.
All right. So this one says Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
Arnold's 6 rules of success. So the 6 rules of success are: trust yourself, break some rules, don't be afraid to fail. Avoid the naysayers, and then work like hell, and the last one is give something back. Okay, so I think these are all great, rules of success.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to ask you, out of all those rules of success, where would you put, which one would you put at the top of the pillar? If you had to
Say
rank
it one
that.
more time, all 6.
So trust yourself,
Okay.
break some rules, don't be afraid to fail, avoid the naysayers, work like hell, give something back. Which one would you put at the forefront as a business owner, and what's some practical applications around that one?
Yeah, that's good. Damn, that's a toss-up between don't be afraid of failure and then break the rules.
Okay, so which one is
Oh, man. Damn it. I think it has to be failure, man, because so many people fear that, as business owners going into it. And so many people literally go through the motions of their life, always with regret. What if? What if I did this? What if I just invested this amount of money? What if I took this risk? What if I quit my job? What if I just started the side hustle first and then quit my job? It's always a regret because of the failure. The failure of, losing money, the failure of losing time, the failure of judging themselves or society or letting somebody down, whatever it is, right? It's always failure. So I would put that at the forefront.
Okay.
Is you're gonna fail no matter what, man. It doesn't even matter if it's business. You're gonna fail in a lot of shit, right?
Of course.
Relationships, travel, money, your fitness, you're gonna fail in that too. There's so much shit you're gonna fail in. So just get used to it. And I think Tom Bilyeu said this, which hit home like big time, was he said that failure and failing a lot of times is the most like information-rich data that you can gather in life. And just think about it, because you fail, right? You at least tried it, and you're gathering all that data to be able to go back out there and tweak it. And don't make the same mistake twice, kind of like what Warren Buffett says. And you don't make it twice, but you're gonna go back out and try to retweak it, and with a better frame of mind, because you tried it and you failed.
Yeah.
You're not gonna fail again.
And along those lines, I think he said too that the success is not, guaranteed, but the struggle is, right? So you could say that success is not guaranteed, but failure is guaranteed.
Yeah. Okay. So then the practical application with this, it really just comes off the top of my head, is getting around a good coach or a mentor.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I would have done that a long time ago. It wasn't until we really invested into that $25,000 mastermind with Ty Lopez that really reframed my mindset. Mm-hmm. And, we just removed the safety net and just jumped into the ocean pretty much, from the cliff. And I think a lot of people need to do that. They need to find somebody that has the results they want and hire them, pay for their time, and try to emulate their success with their own little twist and unique gift that they have to give out there. So I would say hire a mentor or coach so that you can eliminate some of that fear. You're gonna have to feel fear no matter what. You're gonna fail no matter what, but you can eliminate that and accelerate that process.
And then what about when someone does fail? What's like some words of wisdom that you would tell somebody?
Shit, man. Like I said, I don't have this exact formula, but it's just, you have to be resilient. You have to have thick skin. You just kind of have to have that mindset of you just don't give a fuck and just go back at it. And like I said, don't do the same mistake twice. And then just get around somebody else, like a mentor or coach. If you fail, then you have that conversation with them, and then maybe they'll give you some guidelines to be able to go back at it with a different approach and not fail again. Just have a strong support system around you too. When you fail, because you're gonna feel like shit. You're gonna have those down times. So that's my best advice. I wish I had something better. But,
no, I think that's good. If I want to add a couple tips for the listeners too on this. So I would say, if you have failed or if you feel like you're going to fail, if you're scared of that, I would definitely work on, your EQ, your emotional intelligence. Everybody says to work on your IQ, but at the same time, IQ doesn't really, teach you to be emotionally resilient and, get thick skin, right? It doesn't teach you that, because entrepreneurism, life, it's all a roller coaster of emotions, of just ups and downs, of waves. Yeah. So as soon as you can, gain more, strength in your emotional, side of things and, your intelligence, that's going to make you such a stronger person. It really, really is. Yeah. And then when you do fail, when you do fuck up, reframe your mindset to look at it as you're just collecting data. That's all you're doing. You're you're not losing anything out. I mean, yeah, you might lose some money, but you're still alive. You still have another day to fight back and get up, you know? So it's just, you're collecting data and going back to the drawing board and figuring out what happened to just avoid it from happening again.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's good. The EQ especially.
Yeah.
All right, so the third saying, quote, and concept. You guys hear that?
I'm back up
Shout
again.
about that sombrero.
Whew. My heart's beating.
Play some salsa, some reggaeton.
Da-doom, da-doom, da-doom. What do we got?
Oh, man. Our greatest gift lies next to our greatest pains. Philip McKernan. Our greatest gifts lie next to our greatest pains. I'm going to have to go with just, do you agree or you don't disagree? Flat out.
Our greatest gifts lie next to our
greatest pains.
greatest pain.
Do you disagree or agree with that?
That's a tough one. And I had to get Philip, didn't I? We were listening to him earlier today. We were listening to one of his podcast interviews, which he's an amazing guy. So I do agree with him on that. And I do because, like I said, that I think that we all have to sit there and experience some sort of pain, right? It's just going to make us stronger, just, mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. I truly, truly do. So for me, for my example, would be we lost our father. We lost our father at 18 years old, right? So that has been my greatest pain that I have endured, the last 15 years. And it's still fresh almost to where it's like I feel that pain like it happened last night or something. Mm-hmm. So for me, it was just kind of understanding how do I deal with that pain, to where I know it will never ever leave me, but I have to sit there and move forward from it, right? I can't let it sit there and inhibit my life and my true talents and gifts to help other people. So what I have to do is I have to turn that mess, all that dark times that I went through, into my messages. So that's why I always tell people, turn your messes into your messages. Mm-hmm. So same thing, turn your pain into your messages, right? So that's what I feel like I've been doing, the last 10 years, ever since, starting our business, Dynamic Duo Training,
right.
The Dynamic Inner Circle, helping fitness coaches, build their businesses. So yeah, I do think that's a very valid, statement that, our greatest pains can unlock a lot of true, gifts and talents that we might not even know we had, and we had to go through that pain to sit there and figure that out.
Right. So what do you suggest as a practical application for being able to identify that pain and then seeing how your greatest gift lies right next to it?
Whew. Man, that's a tough one. I don't know. I'm stumped on that one. Like a practical application for that?
Yeah. It's cool if you don't know.
Yeah, I don't really have
answers to all these things, guys.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of it. I don't mind saying I don't know.
Did you?
Yeah, I got a good one for you guys. So always go back into the past.
Okay.
Go back into the past and see what your upbringing was like. Was there any tragedies, trauma, verbal abuse, physical abuse, whatever it is, right? Go back into the past and see if anything sticks out, right? Because for us, obviously in the past was losing our father. It happened in the past, right? But it could have affected the future if we just sat there and said, forget it, poor us, play the victim role, give up on life, right? Turn to alcohol, drugs, whatever. But that's what I would suggest. Go back in the past and see if there's any pain, trauma, experiences that you had in the past, failures, from your parents, whatever it is, school system, somebody told you something, bullying, and start there. You start there and you work backwards. That builds the foundation. And from there, you start thinking about different steps on how you can turn this into, a message, like you said, or a gift, and be able to help a greater amount of people. But you start by telling the truth and getting that truth out there and then sharing your story with people. And then it just starts unfolding.
And almost just like accepting it.
Accepting it.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, that's my best advice.
I like that. Yeah, like I said, I got stumped on that one. I saw that one, I was like, oh my God.
That's why I like
tough.
This is the fourth one.
All right, let's move on to this next one. Yep.
I can see the back of the white paper looks long.
So it says, when you go through hell, you acquire a different pair of lenses that can be taught at conferences or through coaches. And then who wrote this? Oh, Patrick Bet David.
Yeah.
Okay.
Read that one more time.
When you go through hell, you acquire a different pair of lenses that can't be taught at conferences or through coaches.
Oh, okay, I got it now.
Yeah, I read that wrong. One more time. When you go through hell, you acquire a different pair of lenses that can't be taught at conferences or through coaches.
Okay, damn.
Okay.
I remember that one too.
So, how do I frame this? I'm just gonna ask you. Do you agree with that? That if you do go through hell or you do overcome a huge adversity in life, do you think that you do you come out with like a new frame of or a new outlook in life? Do you or it could either go the other way, right? You could go back the other way and just like really just regress. Mm-hmm. And I know, and honestly, do you think that could be taught like through coaches or at conferences when you do go through like hell or just overcome some big tragedy or adversity?
No. So I agree with this 100%. And this is what's kind of like a trip, right? Is this question somehow got picked out after what we just talked about right now, that your greatest gift lies right next to your pain, right? Because no, this can't be taught by a coach or a mentor or at a conference, can't. You have to be in charge of identifying that greatest pain, which is in turn your gift, right? What I talked about is you have to get that out there by telling the truth, number one, declaring it, being unapologetic about it, and then telling your story out there to inspire others, impact others. That's your gift, right? So I do think when you go through some sort of tragedy, and again, I'll go back to like our tragedy with losing our dad, right? Our mom turns to alcohol after that, right? She was completely normal basically after that, right? Picture perfect life almost growing up. And then in the split second, 360, 3 nights before Christmas, you lose your father. Half of your mom literally goes that night, right? Mm-hmm. She turns to alcohol, turns to antidepressants after that. So from what I saw, and what I don't mind saying this, I went through hell for literally 6 years of my life, right? And going through what I saw on a day-to-day basis with her and the feelings of like not having a father and growing up and just not having anybody to sit there and really turn to. This is why I think mentors and coaches are so crucial, because I wish I would have found one a long time ago in that time when I was in so much pain. The shit that I learned and just things that were going through my mind, literally, it couldn't have been taught by a coach or a mentor or a conference man. And like, that's why I think we're so good at what we do as far as coaching people, and why we have so much fucking resiliency and like that relentless mindset and thick skin. And we can teach that to our students, because there's nothing that can break us. For me, there's nothing that can break me at this point, because I've gone through that. And I do have a different pair of lenses, and I can't sit there and have like this conversation with someone if they haven't gone through a trauma or tragedy or hell like that, I can relate with them a little bit, like on different things, but not that, It's just a whole different like pair of lens, like Patrick David said. So that's my take on it.
Okay.
So I do agree with that.
No, that's good. Great explanation.
Yeah.
So what's like a practical application now?
In the context of what though? Like
just when you let's say you do have once you do get this new pair of lenses, right? Like, what do you do from there?
Yeah.
So
I think it goes back to the other question that we said. You turn it into your gift. You turn it into your messages to help other people and inspire them. And you do that by, again, getting your story out there and getting your truth out there. And you start putting it on social media. You start maybe getting a group together. Locally. You can start a podcast around it. You can start a coaching program around it, a support program around it. There's so many things you can do to get it out there. I think that's what you do, because it is an advantage in a way going forward. And there's so many people out there that have gone through tragedies and traumas that are so afraid of getting it out there and talking about it. But they need to talk about it, because if they don't talk about it, they're going to regret it their whole entire life. It's going to be like this huge weight. They won't be able to maximize their potential.
Yeah, I just feel like it eats them up every single day.
Every single day. So that's my best advice. Again, I don't have like all the answers to this stuff. Yeah. So.
It's interesting though how that question just appeared right out of the
blue. Right? All right.
Now, like I said, if you guys are watching this on video, we're not cheating, nothing. Like, we're just literally pulling these things out of the hat. So it's weird.
All right.
What's that one?
Humans are the ultimate adaptation machine. Tom Bilyeu said that. So humans are the ultimate adaptation machine.
Yeah.
So let me ask you in this way, because I do agree with that, but I don't want to ask you if you agree or disagree. Do you think personally, based off of that, can you adapt to any situation and why?
That's a great question. I'm going to say yes. I think I can adapt to any situation because I think that the adaptation part, it all starts in the mind. It really, really does. And people would say, oh, well, no, it's like something physical, this and that, but no, it's not. It all stems from your mind, right? So if you can program your subconscious to do it, then you could do anything that you want to do. Yeah, you might be limited with like certain, like I said earlier, skill sets, and you might not be as good as somebody else because they're born with these God-given talents, but you could absolutely get better at those things, right? And you can adapt. It's just people have no patience to do that. That's the problem. So they automatically just limit themselves and say, oh, no, I can't do it. I can't adapt to this. There's no way. It's just not me. It's not for me. And it's just, that's just like such closed-minded thinking. It's just, that's playing small. I didn't even know how to explain that, man, because it's like the biggest way to say that, look, you're playing small by just saying that you can't adapt to a certain situation or you can't get better at something. And we're human, right? We're just really, really, amazing creatures. And if you go back to just like even like how we evolved, back in like the caveman days, right? How do you think they adapted to all those situations? How they survived, how they evolved into where we're at now, right? It's like we all adapt somehow. Even technology, for example, people freak out when they see all this technology. But then it's like we all adapt to it at some certain point. Social media, we're all adapting to it because we're humans and we can do it if we really want to. So absolutely, I agree with Tom Bilyeu's quote on that, and I truly do think that I can adapt to any situation just because I have that growth mindset. I have that resilient mindset. I'm not perfect. I'm still a huge work in progress, and I suck at a lot of things. But I'm aware of that. And I know in my heart, that I can get better at things if I really want to put my mind to it and focus on it. So absolutely, I truly do think I can adapt to any situation or whatever comes my way.
Okay. So then the practical application, how do you suggest people like to adapt to situations like that?
Yeah, that's a good one too.
Two stumps.
Yeah. A practical application on how somebody can just really adapt to a situation.
Anything,
Well, it's got to be something that starts from like a mindset, standpoint. It really does. So again, I think just even starting off with words of affirmation every morning to tell yourself, that be kind to yourself. Just say that you can do this. That you are a work in progress, but you are going to get better. I think just telling yourself those little positive things go a long way. Doing a morning routine, I think that's a great way to do that because it just teaches you to really just get focused that first thing in the morning. Maybe even have like an accountability mirror, to put down Post-it notes, just that says all these little different goals that you want to achieve, or maybe your weaknesses are on there. Mm-hmm. And then, look at them every morning and be like, look, I can adapt to this if I work on it and I put my focus to it. So I would say those are, some good examples that I could use for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would just add into, just to wrap this one up, just read, consume information.
Absolutely.
Whether it's audio or videos or reading, just learn from other people.
Okay.
Like once you start reading, it starts expanding your mindset in crazy ways that you never even thought. So I would say just start there.
Yeah.
Simple as that, in plain sight.
Yeah, like I said, it all starts in the mindset first. All right, moving along. What do we got here? Okay. Always have your back against the wall to remember where you came from and stay hungry. The Rock. Woo! Shout out to The Rock. Okay, one more time.
Don't you wish you would have been asked this one?
I like this one. Always have your back against the wall to remember where you came from and to stay hungry. Yeah, that's a good one. So What do you do? What do you do to keep yourself hungry and motivated every single day?
Damn. I think the biggest thing is I have humility, number one, right? Which means I don't get too fancy, you know? Doesn't matter how much success I have, doesn't matter how many podcast interviews I've done, doesn't matter that I've opened up 2 of these businesses, that we've made all these programs, worked with thousands of clients. I never get too fancy. I never let my ego get in the way. So I always check myself and remember how freaking hard it was to get to where I'm at right now. How high that damn mountain is, how many times we slipped off, but I still got back up and got up here. And I know how easily, by just doing something stupid, you know, or losing focus, it can be just taken away, or you can lose just momentum or whatever it is, you know, and it can regress. So I check myself by that, first of all, just, you know, having humility, never getting too fancy, and just never letting my ego get in the way, you know, and always surrounding myself with just, you know, good people. My circle's good, right? Like with you, you know, like family, friends, girlfriends, and then obviously just always consuming information too, wanting to have that open mind and just like learning, you know, because I don't have all the answers. I'm always going to be a student for life, doesn't matter what level I'm at. So that's how I pretty much, you know, go about, you know, really having my back against the wall, you know.
Okay. Yeah. And then what's a practical application that you could, you know, give the listeners to just keeping your foot on that gas pedal and, you know, staying hungry every single day playing offense?
Yeah. I'm going to go to this this concept that Mike Zeller taught us about, because I think what could happen is if you keep your foot too much on the gas pedal, you first of all lose sight of a lot of things, you know, when you're growing your business like that, and you just get burnt out, man, to be honest. So I liked what he said is implement this concept into the system to where once a week you take a day off, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like
once a month you take a weekend off, and then once a quarter you try to take a week off. And if you can't take the week off, then scale it down 50%. Be diligent about that. So I think if you start implementing that first, I think that just right there just kind of just alleviates so much pressure right there, because you can look forward to that day off, you can look forward to that weekend off, you can look forward to that quarter off. It's the same thing like in dieting, right? Imagine me telling somebody, I want you to do a 30-week diet, no diet breaks or anything like that, right? Psychologically, you're like, fuck, there's no way, right? Same thing with this. You know, you implement a concept like this to where it's feasible and doable, I think it puts you at ease. So I think definitely implementing that concept, no matter what. You know, I think it's such an easy thing to do. It's hard, it's not easy, but I think you can do it, you know? And then after that, just remember some of those dark times you were in, you know?
That's what
how hard it was,
Yep.
you know, all those failures. And that's why I like that cookie jar method too, you know, by David Goggins, is you put in some of those little pieces of papers, which are cookies of some of those darkest times that you ever had to overcome. And when shit gets tough, you reach in that cookie jar and you unfold that paper and you see, damn, I overcame X, Y, Z. This is nothing. I can definitely get through this shit. You know what I mean? So I'd say those 2 things, unless you have anything else to add.
No, I mean, that's all good. You know, I mean, yeah, I don't have anything to add to that.
God, man.
It's good stuff.
Guys, this is hard. I'm not even going to lie.
Yeah, it's just...
it's just tough. I don't know what the hell else.
Definitely threw me a curveball with this one,
Yeah.
but I mean, it's
good though.
I'm having fun with it.
All right, so I think we're on number 7, right?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Number 7. Everyone has a story. Use yours as a class to teach others to inspire them. Oprah.
Ah.
So everyone has a story. Use yours as a class to teach others to inspire them.
Yeah, I've heard that on our masterclass podcast.
Okay, so I'm trying to think how to put this.
Should have the Jeopardy
I know.
beat going on.
Now I'm stumped on how to kind of ask you this question. I'm so stumped right now on this. So let's say this, right? Let's say that you didn't have the story that you have right now, right? Which I think the biggest bulk of it is, you know, obviously we lost Dad, right? And now we're able to sit there and help other people out using that as our gift, right? The pain we went through. If you didn't have that story right there, what would be another big thing in your story right now that you've gone through or experienced that you can use as a class to teach others to inspire them. You can't use losing dad. Whew, that took a long time to think about.
Yeah. So another story or something just in my life?
Something in your life, you know, it doesn't have to be bad. It could just be good. It can be bad. I mean, whatever you want to do. Something else that sticks out, though.
Man. Sorry, I'm just not prepared for these questions, but...
You guys got to watch this video and see some of the faces we're making with this, because it's like, man.
Man. I just think it would be the beginning stages of like entrepreneurism.
Okay.
If I could just go back when we're like 24 years old, like it's just insane how things have just changed, you know, through all that time. And I just didn't know shit. Like I didn't know shit about like owning a business, going online, all that stuff. But I still did it, which I don't understand even like what drove me to do that. And I start to think back sometimes like, why did I want to do that? Like, where was this itch? Where was this fire lit to where it's like I wanted to sit there and build a business and just work for myself? You know, I try to always think back and, you know, if I could center my story around that, how like I failed so many times. I won so many times. But then I lost a lot of things too, like relationships. Our relationship took a hit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I would definitely say I could use that as a story.
Yeah.
Just because it's not easy. And it's like, man, it's like you're going into like the unknown, you know, with opening a business. And especially back then with like not having all the information, things not moving so fast, no social media. I mean, wow, it just blows my mind thinking back. So
It's crazy.
I could absolutely use that as a story, you know, to teach other people, you know, that want to get into entrepreneurism, build a business, that if I could do that, I'm a small time kid that came from a small town in Sonoma County. If I could do that and get where I'm at now, if I could overcome losing a father, getting through, you know, my mom going through all that stuff, losing a grandmother 3 months after, going through dark times, if I could do that, build a successful businesses, be an author, be a speaker, host this podcast, live out here in LA, the lifestyle I want to live, holy shit. You know, it's like, if I could do that, why can somebody else not do that? Why? So I would absolutely use that story to tell people and be like, you have absolutely no fucking excuse to not do what you want to do in life. You really don't. So that's what I would say.
Oh man, that was really good. I gave you some chills. So what would be the practical application for somebody sitting there using some excuses on that verge of like just thinking they can't do it, you know? How would they sit there and make that first step to like get out there and, you know, share their stories so that it's a class and inspire others?
Yeah, and I don't want to be like tough either, you know, but I
think you gotta be
I just
tough,
get to that
you know?
point sometimes where I get tired of hearing people's excuses with stuff to where it's just like, man, you know, just put your fucking big boy pants on and just go do it, you know, just, Jesus, life is so short, you know, to where it's like, why are you wasting your time just doing something that you don't like to do, that you don't get fulfilled by? Why? There's absolutely nothing you're chasing. There's no purpose behind it. There's no legacy you're leaving. You're not getting better overall as a person every day. You're not. You're just staying right there steady and just going through the motions, and time is just ticking. So I would just say, you know, read more, listen to good podcasts that's going to inspire you, motivate you, hire mentors, join a mastermind, go to a meetup group with like-minded people. Hell, go to a Toastmasters group so you can start practicing on, you know, getting that, you know, story out there, getting better at public speaking, and just do it. You know, just, there is nothing you have to lose by doing that. You really, really don't. I mean, you're doing a disservice by not doing it to the world and to other people around you. You're not, you really are. Yeah, that was a tough one.
Yeah, all right.
Moving along.
Yeah, 2 more. Holy shit, 2 more.
All right. The best teacher in life is experience. LeBron James. Too bad I am not a LeBron fan, but I do respect him. He's a great athlete. One more time. The best teacher in life is experience. True or false?
Best teacher in life is experience.
True or false?
I'm going to say false. A part of me wanted to go true, but it's kind of in the middle. But if I have to pick one, I'm going to say false. I think you definitely need experience, as your teacher in life. You really do, right? Because you have to have experience. You have to. The other thing I just think is the other 2 things is I think you definitely have to have, again, I'm going to always say this, and it sounds like a broken record, but a good mentor or a coach.
Yeah.
Because you need a game plan, a vision at the end of the day of where you want to go, a roadmap.
And you need an extra pair of eyes.
An extra pair of eyes, to where they're going to see the blind spots that you have. And I remember we interviewed Bader's Koulian, and he made such a really good analogy about having a mentor and a coach, to where just picture yourself lost on an island or a jungle. Who knows if you're going to get out, right? Maybe you'll get out. Who knows how long it's going to take, right? So you're combing through all those different ways, trying to, you're your own compass. But what if you had a coach or a mentor in a helicopter view, and you had a little walkie-talkie, and they're guiding you out the right direction? Imagine how fast you're going to accelerate that process, to get out of that jungle. Same thing in life, business, whatever endeavor it is. So that's why I'm so big on always kind of reverting back to coaches and mentors. So I would say you definitely need life experience. You definitely need coaches and mentors. And the third thing, I think you just need a vision or a game plan, man. Okay. Because it goes back to just what is the purpose you're doing all this stuff? What's the meaning, the impact you want to make, the legacy? What we talked about earlier, the influence too. So I'd say all those things cumulatively. You can't just say just experience.
Okay. So for those that don't have a mentor, or they're skeptical about finding a mentor or coach, what would you advocate?
Well, definitely do your research, because these days it's easy to do research. A lot of these coaches and mentors, if they're doing things right, I think they're on social media, so you can definitely get a feel for if you vibe with them or not, or resonate. Based off just the way they talk, what they stand, what they're about. Their beliefs, how they talk. Their personality.
But I would make one argument on that, because you could go through people's social medias, but if they're not doing stories pretty frequently, they're not doing lives, they're not doing videos, there's a reason why they're not doing that, right? They're only just posting a bunch of pictures and stuff. There's a reason why they're not doing that. So I would be skeptical about somebody that doesn't, show up and just, be authentic on a video and just showcase who they are as a person and their talents.
Right. Yeah. So then, that's a good point as well too. So the other route I would go is, let's just say you're trying to hire a coach, right? They should have testimonials wherever it is, join their program or something. If they don't have testimonials, that's a red flag. Okay? So go through the testimonials, and then try to even contact some of those people from the testimonials and ask for 5 minutes of their time to ask a couple of questions, was it worth it? Did they help you get from point A to point B? Were they there? Or did they sit there and just kind of paint this picture that they're going to be there, but they're not there? Basically over-deliver, or over-promise, under-deliver type of shit. You see all the time with coaches. So that's my best advice,
Okay.
Research the hell out of them, social media first, their website, then go the route of testimonials, and then try to go even deeper, contacting some of those people.
Yeah.
See if they're legit or not. That's my best advice for that.
That's good stuff. I would say too, just real quick, if you're looking for a coach or mentor, remember the acronym T. So TEA, like a bag of tea. So the T stands for, this mentor or coach must have theories, hypothesis that he's tested before, right? Mm-hmm. He must have experience, right? We've been talking about experience. And he must, take action. He must walk the walk, and have that proof that he's been successful with all these theories and experience and things that he's teaching. So TEA, I think that's a very easy one to remember.
That's good. All right, damn, last one.
Last one? Ooh, I had I got the last one because I lost. I lost rock, paper, scissors in the beginning.
Eric's going to go out with a bang on this one. This one's a pretty good one too. Overwhelm is a systems problem. Seth Godin. Overwhelm is a systems problem. So, my question on that is, first off, two-part question. Why do you think people are overwhelmed? And secondly, in your experience, did building a system in your lifestyle or your business, whatever, help you with overwhelm? Because we all go through overwhelm.
Being overwhelmed.
Anybody that says they don't, they're bullshitting, but I think you can fix it.
Yeah.
So that's my two-part question
Okay.
on this one.
I'll answer the first one. So why are people so overwhelmed?
Yeah.
I think it starts with upbringing. I really do. And the school system. I really think that those are two big factors that play a role in why people are overwhelmed. Just, whether it's, in the past, the present, or they're going to be overwhelmed in the future, because they've already sat there and conditioned their mindsets to believe that, when something comes up, whether it's something stressful, whether it's anxiety, whether it's, a tragedy, adversity, they have to be overwhelmed by it, because they're always going to be in that reactive mode, right? Mm-hmm. That's just their state of nature. They've conditioned their mind to react to it in that certain way. Instead of just, not being in reactive mode, gathering their thoughts, really seeing what's going on here. I can solve this problem. It doesn't have to be a problem. I can solve it. There's always a way to solve a problem. If they could sit there and just analyze that and take a breath, then they wouldn't sit there and be overwhelmed. They really, really wouldn't. And there's a great exercise that John Assaraf teaches this. I read this in his book. It's called calming the circuits, right? So his theory is when you're being overwhelmed, when you're having a lot of anxiety, your brain has all these circuits and it starts going crazy, like it's being electrocuted. So we want to calm these circuits down by doing, 6 deep diaphragmatical breaths, right? To really just kind of regain that clarity, that focus, calm, your brain down, calm your heart rate down, the anxiety. By doing those 6 deep breaths, you're more in control of that situation, and you're not going to be so overwhelmed.
That's good.
So I would definitely advocate that. That's going to be my practical application for that for people.
Okay.
But yeah, I think it just starts with upbringing, the school system, our environment. That's why we're overwhelmed, because we don't know how to fucking handle things. We just freak out when something happens. We don't sit there and analyze what the situation is. We don't see that there's light at the end of the tunnel, that there's always a way to solve a problem, but yet people just are always in reactive mode, and they're like, no, being overwhelmed's a better solution for me. Yeah. So that's my answer, number one. Okay. And number two
is how has building a system around your lifestyle or whatever helped you with being overwhelmed?
Absolutely. So that's an easy one. That's my morning routine, because that's like my sacred time. That's my time to program my subconscious to play offense, not defense, right? Because again, if I were to wake up every goddamn morning and sit there and just jump out of bed like most people do and be in reactive mode, that would not serve me, nor would it ever serve any of my clients, anybody else. It just wouldn't. In my environment, most importantly, it wouldn't, because I'd be so tense. I'd be like, oh gosh, dreading the day. I have to do this, I have to do that. I have to get this to-do list done. I mean, there's only so much time. There's traffic, blah, 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 all these excuses. So I would already be overwhelmed going into that day, right? So I'd be in that reactive mode. But by me doing this morning routine, hour and a half dedicated to myself, that calms my nerves. That makes me not be in reactive mode. I'm in control. I'm in control of my goddamn day and my mind, most importantly. So that's why I'm so big on, creating a morning routine. Yeah. Because, again, email, text, social media, all that stuff's going to control us most of the time. Once we open up the phone, once we go with our day, something's going to come up. So it's do your best to just, do a morning routine, be in control of yourself, and most importantly, your mind.
Yeah, good. Okay. The only thing I would add to that is just, I think with the whole overwhelm thing, it's almost like the excuse of I'm too busy. Yeah. That's a systems problem, I think, too. So where it's you need to integrate some sort of structure into your daily lifestyle, right? Like you said, I think you should always have a morning routine. The second thing is schedule in your exercise, right?
Absolutely.
Your exercise or fitness for sure, break up the day. And then just break up and then have chunks of work. Like we talked about earlier, 20 to 60 minutes, right? With all notifications off, airplane mode, to where you're not getting disrupted, you're not getting distracted, you're in that state of flow, right? You're not feeling overwhelmed. And then have a system in your day to where it's you're checking social media at certain times. You don't have all your notifications on, your text is on, ding, 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 getting distracted. and then, assist them to check email, and then another time to wind down and be present with your family or friends and do something fun, reward yourself daily. You know what I mean? So I think it is a systems thing, so 100%.
Yeah, well said. And I think notifications are so toxic.
Yeah.
So if you guys can, turn off your notifications, put your phone on silent or whatever, and just try turning your phone over upside down.
Yeah, just if
you imagine how much shit you can get done by doing that.
Shoot, we're done. 10 minutes.
Man, I gotta give you a fist pump for that too. I mean, that was pretty clever doing this. I really enjoyed it, but it was challenging. I'm not gonna lie, and not to look at those questions was very difficult. But I'm all for it. I like a nice challenge. So yeah, well done.
So all I ask from our listeners is just please give us some feedback on this one. Like I was pumped up about doing this, but again, you never know, right? I could be pumped up and it could be a complete bomb or failure, and you guys could be like, this thing sucked.
Yep.
So let me know on social media, honestly, or just shoot us an email or anything, just to let me know that you like this, and then we'll do a round two, in a couple of months on this. And I thought it was fun.
Yeah, definitely was. Very, very unique. So nicely done, Chris.
Yeah, thank you, man. So I'm proud of you, dude, just from all this work you put in Q1, and looking forward to going back home with family to chill out too, and all the honesty and these responses and transparency and everything you've been through in life and all the experiences that you've been through and all the knowledge you've gained, man. So I'm proud of you and I love you.
Thank you. Right back at you. Love you too. And again, thank you so much to the listeners to our podcast show. Because without you guys, this wouldn't exist. And, we have a big vision for our podcast going forward and our whole community of living a dynamic lifestyle to where I'm excited about it. So it's only going to get better. But thank you so much. And again, guys, as always, if you guys enjoyed this episode, if you found something useful from it, please go leave a quick rating and review. That's how we grow this podcast organically, and share it with a friend, peer, coworker, anybody who would find it valuable. Tag us on social media, DM us, all that good stuff. So we would truly appreciate that.
All right, guys. That's all we got.
So until next time, we are out of here. Go live a dynamic lifestyle. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this podcast video. If you guys are interested in watching and listening to more of our podcasts, make sure to click the link in the description box below. We have a ton of awesome podcasts. I mean, we're up to like 130 right now. We're giving one out every single week. And we're actually bringing on some of the big guests out there, and everything is really centered around lifestyle habits, systems, overcoming adversity, how someone got from point A to point B, and some of the rituals and lessons learned throughout that entire journey. So you guys will gain a lot of value from these podcasts, whether it's through audio or here on YouTube, okay? So make sure to check out the link in the description box, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.